I agree.
Okay. Hi all. So welcome to today's webinar on happiness at work by Kamel Abid. So with more than 25 years in IT business, Kamel has been active within Capgemini through a myriad of roles: senior consultant, pre-sales, bid manager, delivery expert in cloud, and now as a business development while leading the Sagility Labs innovation community for the Luxembourg. So native from Nice in the south of France, Kimmel has been nurturing his soft skills since last years around digital happiness, diversity, gender. His manifesto, making you happier to make my world better. So over to you, Kimmel. How we can stay happy at work also.
Thank you, Deepika. Welcome, everybody. I hope you are listening to me pretty good. Sorry for the delay. Everything is fine? You're listening to me? Okay,
Yes, Kimmel,
super.
you can listen.
So before I start talking about happiness at work, I have to say something about myself. I'm a happy guy. I'm happy as long as I remember. Since I was 3, I was already pursuing for happiness. So I had only 3, and I can even remember that. And I have some people from my family who were not really agree, who didn't want really to go for this kind of momentum of happiness. So I had to face really tough time when I was a child, and even when I grew up, I also had to face some difficulties, some bad situation. I lost a house. I had to leave my French Riviera because, as Deepika said before, I'm from Nice, native from Nice, so I have to leave even the sun of the French Riviera. But nevertheless, my desire, my strong appetite for happiness never left me, and this is why I started last year to go on a MOOC from the University of Berkeley, a MOOC called Science of Happiness, which lasts around 4 months, and I recommend you to do it. It's great, not only because it learned me how happiness is in terms of science, but also personally, I understood a lot about myself, about how happy and how and why I was able to be happy in really, really bad times. And it's the same at happiness at work. Oh, it doesn't change. Yeah. Uh, as you can see on the screen, today something may worry us. And I'm not talking about coronavirus. I swear I will try not to talk a lot about this. I want to do a break on this, even though it's pretty difficult to avoid this kind of topic. No, I want to talk about something that is coming for years now and who can really, really scare us as business people from not only IT company, any kind of companies, which is disruption, as you can see. Disruption of companies, any kind of, any size of companies, disruption of business, again, any kind, but also disruption of global verticals. We know that this threat will make that some verticals, some totally global verticals will disappear. We don't know when and we don't know how, but we know that it will happen. And it already happens from others. So I'm sorry to scare you again. I promise that I will not talk about coronavirus, but yeah, I will have some scaring slides, but I promise that at the end, we will have a happy ending, I swear. So disruption threats, uh, I, I did 4 buckets of this kind of disruption threats. The first one is the mix of generation that we'll talk a little bit. Platforms also, as we call uberization of the society, the robots and the workplace itself. So we are living in a business world today where for the first time ever we have 4 generations at the same time working together. It never happened before. So we have baby boomers who are actually our CEOs, I would say. We have also Generation X, myself. I don't know if it's the case for you as well. Generation Y and Generation Z. And what Vint called the synthetic generation. I don't know if you had the opportunity to read the different reports of Vint, and especially the ones around digital happiness, and talking a lot about what they call synthetic generation. So let's talk a little bit about this digital native generation. The expectations for the future of work are totally different than ours. And I would say than mine as Generation X. And I don't know if the same for you. What is clear for them is that authenticity is key to this generation's pursuit of happiness. But helping youngsters like you may do, like I do, to identify what is real and what is fake is an ongoing challenge. And I have three children and two boys, 18 years old and 50 years old. And I spend time trying to understand, and especially now in the confinement, we have times. We spend time watching YouTubers, watching their video with kind of really noisy voice, angry voices talking about any kind of topic like burning a caravan or something like that, really strange things. Watching people playing video games, e-games, I don't even understand. And I try to understand, and I recommend you to have discussion. And the first reaction is to say, okay, let's get rid of this. It's a stupid thing, and it is what I call generation war, because we had exactly the same when we were young, watching TV on VCR, where our parents could not even understand what it was. So again, trying to understand this generation, we also must understand the power of influencers, and of course as well the digital engagement tools. And you will see how it will bring us for better happiness within workplace. So Generation Z employees are better equipped to handle themselves in this new world than you can imagine. Whether it's real or fake, they know their influencers' tricks and easily pierce through facades. And it's already the case for my 15 years old boy, who can already tell you what it means to have un placement d'objet, what we call in French. So a hidden advertisement in a video, he can already understand what does it mean. Monetization of video as well, and is the same for his friends. So being ethical and inclusive employers with a purpose for counts for them. So if you are not employer, if you're employer and you don't think about ethical and inclusive, so I think you lose this kind of population. So cohabitation of generation is key for us in this world. After that, we can talk about platform, the platform threat. I'm not going on detail in that, but everybody knows what Uberization is about. Everybody knows, I went too fast. Everybody knows what as a service mean, and especially in the situation of confinement, even the services who were still, I would say, traditional ones, people are already thinking about turning it into as a service. So, and even though after we go out from this crisis, we know that as a service will be more and more present. And once again, sorry to scare you, but what we used to say is that behind any kind of business, behind any company, there is a Uber behind waiting the good time to disrupt you. So it's a world of Uber today, and I won't go into detail in that except if you have some question about that. Third point is the rise of robots. So once again, I will not go into details because I'm sure you are comfortable in this topic, but just one thing to know, one thing to keep in mind is that we are using robots and automation everywhere, not only into farms, not only in Azure, in Amazon farms and warehouse where you have tens of thousands of robots running and working together. It's also automation within IT, for instance. We are pushing more and more automation solution every day. So meaning that not only in terms of platform that you can be also disrupt, but also in terms of operation. If we have robots who can do your business, so there will be someone coming and say, okay, I will take the lead, I will take the business on your side, and it will bring a new business model, and you will be disrupted as well. Fourth point, and I swear it will be the last one that would scare you, is the workplace. Studies has defined the workplace as the worst place for happiness. So if you take all the place we are going through, even though today we only have home as workplace, but if you when we talk about school, hospitals, church, any kind of place, supermarkets, any kind of place, workplace is the worst in terms of happiness. So it's the place where we intend not to be happy. And it's not really complicated to understand. It's because when it was designed, happiness was not a point that was considered. Only consideration was around productivity and profitability and so on. So there was no place for happiness. And we can see now, based on the three first topics that I've detailed a bit, that happiness, it's become a key for us, and especially for the generation war, especially for the first topic I've developed. So we are struggling today. We are all struggling, I would say. Burnout, bore out. If it's not our own concern, we all know people, we all know cases where we had friends who went into burnout, bore out, also hierarchy, bringing stupid situation where you have to do something even though you know it's the wrong things to do, but you must do it. Lack of sense. This is also one really important point that bring people on whether burnout or bore out. You do things, you don't know why you do it, but you have to do it because the system, it's systemic, saying that workplace tells you that you have to do it. And also proliferation of emails and meetings. It can be now calls meeting. I don't know if it's the case for you, but I spend, my children are kind of getting crazy by the fact that I'm going into meetings all the time with my headset on the on my head, and it's still the case now, but it's not really a meeting. And I hope you are experiencing good time as I do tonight for this time. So what the studies show is that we are going through a dehumanization process, and it shows also that Generation Z is shaking totally this and challenging this wave as well. So, Kamel, how can you say that kindness will save us from all this mess? And this is a question you could have, and I tell you, I can guarantee you that yes, happiness will. It is one of the main points that will save us from all this mess. But before I tell you how, maybe we should agree and align on what happiness is exactly. What is happiness, in fact? So I will try to launch the video. I hope it will work. Otherwise, we will go straight to going on the slide deck. Can you hear it?
No.
No?
We can just see the video, but we cannot hear.
Okay, so I will keep some minutes, or you will see all just the first presentation. Okay. Anyway, so we are not going to show the video. It's a video. I will share it to you. It's really interesting video from. I will show you again her name, and yeah. So Sonia Lubomirsky is, let's say, the person who is working on science of happiness, and who is the most active in this topic. And one thing I have to tell you before we go into deep on what she was about to say, We are studying humankind. We are studying human behavior, sociology for since the Greek age, antique age. But we used to learn, we used to study only, I would say, the bad or the negative emotions, whether it's angriness, whether it's stress or jealousy, criminals, all the kind of negative feelings, negative emotion, and learning, studying about learning, studying about happiness, about positive emotion is not something that is really old. In fact, it's only 40, 50 years ago that we started to learn, I mean, in terms of science, scientifically speaking, that we learned about happiness. Where does it come from? And how can we pursue happiness and so on. So let's see what brings us happiness. So you should be surprised to learn that happiness is coming from genetics for 50% of the global happiness that we can live. So meaning that your happiness is 50% based on your genetics. Incredible. I was really surprised when I was running the MOOC as well. So it's science. 10% comes from life circumstance, meaning if you was born in I don't know, if you was the son of the daughter of the king of Morocco, so you will be somewhere happy easier than if you come from a poor place in Vietnam, for instance. But this comes into 10% of your happiness. So 10% for life circumstance, 50% genetics, 10 life circumstance. And 40% is based on your intentional activity or on your own behavior. So meaning that you could say, oh, 40% is not a lot because we have already 60% we can do anything. Where you were, your genetics, you can do anything about your DNA, the same for where you were born. So you could say it's not a lot. But in the opposite, I would say 40% is quite a lot because you still have a room for working and being happy. And the science of happiness tells us that happiness is not just joy or pleasure that we can feel. It is for sure more complex. Happiness takes times and work. And I can testify, even though I don't know what is my DNA regarding happiness, but I can tell you that I had hard work, and still the case today, really hard work for happiness, to keep this positive momentum. Some lucky are born naturally with full 50% DNA ready to be happy. But most of us need tools and practice to pursue happiness. And it's the case even for the people who have, we don't know, but people who seems to have great DNA regarding this 50%, you still have to work and practice. Just like for one person who has talent for basketball or for something, she still has to work more and more a lot to be a champion, for instance. Exactly the same for happiness. And it is especially true in this time when we are all forced to reinvent ourselves in a very short period of time, in this confinement time. And happiness can be one of the main blocks of this new world. I promise you, I was thinking of that every day, how happiness can bring more and more peaceful time. And it's actually what's happening. We are here and forced to be at home for, I don't know now, 2 weeks. And things are going really good with my children. And I have 2 boys, and everything looks fine. I hope it's the same for you. I really hope it's the same for you. So let's go back to workplace. So I could tell you that happiness is a good thing for humanity. I could tell you that love is better than hate, that peace is better than war. And it will sound like Miss Universe speech or like Heals the Words, Michael Jackson songs. But this is what I truly believe. I do believe that if we go more for happiness, if we work more on happiness, we will be happier and we will have more and more people happier. Nevertheless, I also have to discuss with CEOs, also have to discuss with business people, and I have other arguments that will be more sensitive by. As I said before in the beginning, we are facing generation war. We are facing a world where we have globality, global world with global market and global workforce. The more a company will be inclusive, the more a company will be able to catch new talents, especially from global world and especially from Generation Z. And the more the company will catch global customers. So let me give you a non-exhaustive list of benefits of happiness at workplace. And the first one also concerns CEOs because, as we know, the more and more this kind of person are around 50, even more than 50 years old. So first benefits of happiness is live a longer life, and it's around 5 years, an average of 5 years. So if you're living a happy life, you will live 5 years longer, and it is scientifically proved. Better physical health as well, which is combined, and especially when in terms when it comes to a heart attack. So you lower your risk of heart attack, and you increase your immune system. I can give you plenty of information. I have tons of materials on that, studies, demonstration, and so on. So if you need this kind of information, please just tell me, and I will drop you some reports. And I could tell you hours for each and every topic of this. Better social health as well. So we have to understand that humankind is a pro-social species. So we are born to have social relationships. And the more you're happy, the more you have social relationships. And in the same time, the more you have good social relationship, the more you are happy. This is also proven. They have proven that from children who have a lot more social relationship, good relationship, at the end, the average of this population is that they will be part of the happier people. So ask yourself, if you had a lot of friends when you was at school, I would say in terms of statistics, it's likely that you will be happier a person when you grow up. And again, I have plenty of this kind of information if you want. Also, benefit of happiness at work is that it strengthens your soft skill. You get more rigorous, you get more innovative, more creative, and also, really important, more resistant to stress. Because happiness is naturally combating stress. So the more you are happy, the more you fight the stress for yourself, but also for the rest of your team. Positive emotion. Let's talk about positive emotion because it's also the definition of Barbara Fredrickson as a distinguished professor from the University of North Carolina. And her definition of happiness is positive emotion. And she says that positive emotion open our minds. And what it can bring to our business world, positive emotion make you see a larger picture. So she conducted some surveys, some experiments on people. I will tell you one because we have time. I have skipped the video. I will tell you one experiment. She took several different pools of people, and the study, they asked them to get in front of a screen and watching a screen, simply. And on screens, there was one picture in the center of the screen and two smaller pictures on the sides of the screen. And that just at the end of the experiment, I don't know how many minutes they stayed, on seconds they stayed in front of the screen, they just asked the people just to describe what they have seen. And for a second pool, what they did, few minutes before the experiment starts, they gave them a candy bar. And there is also some surveys saying that a candy bar makes people happy. When you get a candy bar, in surprise, it boosts your happiness for a while. So they gave a candy bar to this to this pool of population just some minutes before they start the experiment. And at the end, it turned out that this pool had better view in a wider sense. I mean, there was a big picture in the center of the screen and two smaller pictures on the sides, and this specific pool was able to describe in a better way with more details what the picture on the sides were. So showing that a boost of happiness makes you more able to have a wider view, nothing more than that. So I have plenty of this kind of experiment that I can share to you. It's scientific, but it's also fun, I think. It makes also positive emotion. If you feel positive emotion on a regular basis, it makes you more resilient, as I talked about stress a little bit before. More trusting also, and better win-win situation in negotiation. This one is particularly interesting in a business landscape. So the more you get happy, the more you will be trusted, and the better you will have win-win situation. And I will tell you something about that. First, let's talk about empathy. It was also one of the part of the science of happiness. So empathy, there are two kinds of empathies, the cognitive empathy and the affective empathy. And we are going to talk about the affective. Affective empathy is pretty simple to define. If you have someone who is smiling in front of you, if you have someone who is laughing in front of you, naturally, even though you don't even know what they're talking about, you don't know the language of the person, your body will naturally smile. It will be easier for you to smile in this situation. And if you have someone in the same way who is talking about disgusting thing, your body language, your body face will be like, doing like kind of, you know, this kind of face like disgusted. So this is what empathy, affective empathy is. Just mimicking what the one in front of you is living, you live the same. So when you go to customers, which is what happens for me, what is used to happen, and now I have more video conference with customers. But anyway, it works the same. So if you have someone, if the customer has someone who is smiling, who is happy, I mean really happy, not pretending to be happy, but really happy, the same will happen to him. After that, when you're happy, you release oxytocin, which is what the science call the protein of happiness. So when you release this oxytocin, means that you're happy, that your happiness is experiencing a boost at this time. And when you have more oxytocin in your body, you trust people easily. So they did experiment. They took a pool of people, they injected them oxytocin on their nose, and at the end, it turned out that this population was trusting everybody. They were trusting any kind of idea. They were more likely to trust you than, I would say, normal people, who didn't get this oxytocin. So you can imagine the risk of this kind of protein in the political world and so on. But anyway, so just to tell you that affective empathy brings oxytocin. Oxytocin brings trust. And what we need in business is trust, for sure. If the customer trusts you, and more, it will become even more and more the case for Generation Z, as we said before, that they need sense and authenticity. So the more you will have people happy, the more you will be in affective empathy, the more you will release oxytocin at customer side, and the more the customer will trust you, and the more you will be able to do some sales. As simple as that. Last point on the positive emotion from Barbara Fredrickson is that positive emotion transforms us for the better. It's easy also, but it's real. If you have, once again, someone who is doing baskets, someone who is cooking, cutting hair, or whatever you want, any kind of practice, if you're happy, you will be better in your discipline than if you are not happy. And it's crazy, but it's easy. But it's scientifically proved. again. So in summary, benefits of benefits of happiness in workplace. So you will increase your profitability. You will increase also your productivity as well. People will be more collaborative together. You will reduce attrition because people will be happier, and you will get more credential, more trust from your customers. Also, for CEOs, they will live longer and they will take better decisions. Lastly, you can also boost your creativity. So to summarize, happiness at work will help us to get talents, to keep talents, to get customers, to get trust from our customers. Also getting people to collaborate more, getting people to live a longer life, to live a better life, so to get a better world, I would say at the end. Oh, and as Deepika gave you my momentum, yeah, the more you will have, the more I will have people happy, the more I will be living in a happier world. So this is exactly what it is about. Okay, Kamel, you could react, say, okay, you give us a nice view, nice picture of the world, but today the world is not like this, and we don't have people as happy as we would love in the workplace, which is actually true. And first thing is to measure the gap. There is a gap for sure, and for any company in the world, there is a gap. And we have to look at this one and see, okay, how can we do to tackle this gap? So as example, I took the buyer's journey. Once again, we talk about happiness. People can tell me, oh, but you are like Miss Universe speech and so on. No, let's be on the ground of business. We are here to do business. We are here to do to be to get profitability. So what you see on screen now, it's the buyer's journey. So this is what every CEO is familiar with. What I did, I took the same pattern, but I've applied it with all I've learned from the science of happiness. So it's still in progress, but what you can see is the journey of a company who wants to go for happiness, of a company who wants to benefit all the detail I gave before, or productivity, tackling also generation war and generation debt, Y, X, and baby boomers, reducing attrition. You can address all the benefits I gave before by going through this journey. As I said, it's a work in progress, but first step is awareness, what we are currently doing. I hope you are familiar with, if you're familiar with at least 90% or even more than I shared. So meaning that we are already aware of that, and it's great. But for the main part of the population, we need to go first for awareness. To say, okay, happiness at work, it's not antinomic, it's possible, it's beneficial also for the company. And in this awareness process, we try to tackle all these, I would say, beliefs like no pain, no gain, these kind of things that we have to get rid of, because it's not the case. Or we are not here to play. It's workplace. It's serious. There's no place for game. All these kind of beliefs that we have to tackle, to eliminate in this awareness phase. Then we learn, as I said, at the University of Berkeley, but not only, I also follow other MOOCs, I read books and so on. So I learned about happiness. I learned about how to foster happiness in different contexts, for instance, whether it's in crisis situation or in a meeting, when we are doing go no goes in business, when we are presenting something at customer side, when we disagree on something. So we have to learn how happiness can bring benefits from this specific situation. Then after we apply, so we define some business cases, we try to apply it on our day-to-day. And after deploying, what we it's exactly the same as you could see at in IT world. So you develop and you put it on production on the deploying phase. And at the end, the goal is also to inspire people. within the company, outside, so we can exchange with customers, with partners. But inside, if we have self-initiative, like I do, for instance, in this webinar, it's even better to get more, to get stronger momentum around happiness at work. So this is more or less, I try to be as short as possible because I have so many things to give you. I don't know, Deepika, I skipped the questions, the Q&A session, I think. If there are any question.
Yeah, we can open it for the Q&A now.
Sorry,
So
yeah.
Yeah. Participants, please feel free to let us know in case you have any queries on the topic, and Kimmel will be glad to address you all.
Sorry for the video. I will share it. Deepika will share the video so everybody will see it. It's really interesting.
Yes, sure, Kimmel.
Even living in Luxembourg, I'm so happy. Yeah, Daniel, I see one of the questions. Yeah, it's possible also to live in happiness in any country, any place in the world. I know it's a joke, but yeah. More seriously, I come from south of France, where the sun is shining 300 days a year. It's the opposite, I would say, in Luxembourg. I don't know if you have more than 60 sunny days a year, but things are okay. I'm still happy in this place as well.
So, whenever we have any such situation which actually demotivates us, what do you recommend us to do, Kimmel?
Could you repeat? Sorry.
So, whenever we are in a situation which is a little demotivating for us at the workplace, what do you suggest we do?
Okay. So as I said before, I talked about affective empathy. So now we can talk about cognitive empathy. The cognitive empathy is different from the first one. The first one is natural. Affective is natural, as I said. Cognitive is trying to go to be on the shoes of the other person. So the best at this time when you have someone demotivated is the best situation is when your N+1 is doing so, is applying cognitive empathy. Otherwise, it can be colleague. So trying to be on the shoes of the person who is demotivated. At this time, you need to feel that someone is understanding exactly what you are living, and it's the first step. So you can't turn someone who is demotivated like this and say, okay, you need to be happy at this time, like a magician will bring a rabbit appearing from its hat. It's not like this. First, cognitive empathy, and I recommend, I would say, all the managers, all the team leaders to learn about cognitive empathy. You learn how to be in someone's shoes. It's not only, oh, I understand, because we always hear that, oh, I understand what you are living. No, cognitive empathy, it's also something you can work on it. And I would say first is to train all the people who have, I would say, leading responsibilities with others, is to go through a learning cognitive empathy.
Right. Thanks for answering that, Kimmel.
Welcome.
So, any more queries, participants, please feel free to let us know through the chat and Q&A sections. So, Daniel says, a great presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you. As I said, we could talk hours on that because it's so wide topic, and there were so great experiments showing that out of the box we all have all the tools to be happy. Everybody on earth.
Right. So, JMark says, yeah, we are speaking. Just a remark about the pursuit of happiness, Audrey.
Yeah.
So this was the topic in antiquity, Aristotle.
About happiness, yeah. Greek already started to work on happiness. It's true, but I mean, in terms of science, in our day to day, it's not really old that we work on this. We Greeks started working about that, but not as much as negative. Like mythology, for instance, the mythology treats about 99% of negative emotion, negative side of humankind.
Right, Audrey says it was actually the philosopher who asked questions about how to be happy.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, Aristotle brought a lot, and Science of Happiness also work on that, on these antique works. Sure, yeah.
I hope that answered you, Audrey.
I hope to, and we will have time to discuss together because she's from Luxembourg as well. So I will have time to discuss.
Yeah.
I
So
hope on
Dillis,
the coffee machine.
says a great way of representing happiness journey. Collaboration enables employee happy. We should leverage modern workplace tools to change the way we work.
Oh yeah, 1 million time agree with you, and I'm active in that. And you, whenever you need any help, anything, any energy needed to push on that side, you can find me, and I will be more than happy to participate.
Right. So Audrey also says thank you for that.
Welcome.
Okay, I guess we don't have any more open queries. So I
Okay.
take this opportunity to thank everyone who has joined us in this webinar and be part of this journey of how to stay happy at our workplace. And thanks a lot, Kimmel, for taking us through this and
Welcome, Deepika.
letting us know more about it.
Thanks a lot. And I see Dennis is happy. So if I have one person who is happier than before, this is my first purpose. So I'm happy as well. Thanks a lot. Thank you,
Yeah.
Deepika.
Thanks, Kimmel. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.